So I'm not much for social media, but I hear so much negativity about dating. I decided to come on here and tell my story. So where we start at is I was raised by three women: my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother. My dad was in the picture. He would come pick me up, and we'd go out and go to the movies, play basketball, stuff like that. But my mom made sure that she let him know she was in charge. He knew that. My mom was so much in charge that she didn't get any child support. She didn't want any child support from my dad. She wanted him to have no say so in how I was raised. Um, and we'll get into why maybe later. And I understand now why she wanted things that way. But yeah, I was raised by three proud uh, black women. Um, I got into my first marriage at 30 years of age. Um, Before that, I was in a lot of serious relationships that lasted 2, 3 years. Um, and the key to that was I learned a lot about myself in those relationships. And I learned things that I needed to change about myself in those relationships. And what I don't hear from people who's giving advice about dating is how they've changed and how they've grown and why they're prepared to be in a serious relationship. You don't hear a lot about that here on social media. So again, I got married at 30 to a lady I met in junior high. And we'll go before that. I had a relationship that was not working. I was unhappy in the relationship. I was unhappy with everything in my life at that time. And I ended up moving back in with my mom. Uh, you want to go home and ask your mom, how can I fix this? What's going on in my life? And in order to do that, to spend time with my mom, you know where we had to go? Church. I would have to ride to church with her and ride back home with her in order to get a good conversation with her, because other than that, we were both working. Um, I had my youngest son was living with me and my mother at that time, so he also kept me busy. But yeah, I had a chance to talk to my mom, and a lot of times when I went to church, it felt like the pastor was talking to me about my situation. And doing that for 2, 3, 4 weeks, like, you know what? This is where I need to be, in church. And I ended up giving my life to Christ and prayed for my first wife. And he took me all the way back to a woman I met in junior high. Uh, and we'll go into how that happened later. You'll like that story. But she came along, and I immediately knew that this was a sign from God and that she was the one. I told her over the phone if she moved back home. She was living in North Carolina. Told her if she moved back home, I was going to marry her. She moved home, and in about 3 months' time, we were married, buying our first house, and living together. 19 years. Happy. Something you ought to think about.